And in the car, with our advice, you could go far. We fuck things up and we make mistakes. We talk about our sexy dates. We host events and we go to clubs, but most of all we're still in love. It's getting hard for this to rhyme, just as well, cause it's bed hopping time. It's bed hopping time. It's bed hopping time.
Hello and welcome to the Bed Hoppers podcast. My name is Mr. H.
I'm Mrs. H.
Thank you for joining us today. We have got a treat for you, and it's not just our voices, it's the voices of other people as well.
Yes, it is.
Why are you laughing? Is it because I'm doing podcast voice?
No, it's because you always decide that your voice is the treat.
Well, I don't think I can back that up in the slightest, to be fair. It's a treat for me. Maybe it's a treat for you. I don't know, but this is a good one, and I'm excited to share an interview that we did about a week ago. We spent some time editing, and by we, I mean I, that we're going to play in a moment for you. But first, we've got a few sort of bit of housekeeping, bit of stuff to update you on, right?
What's been going on?
Well, we launched a new social event for just before Christmas on the 20th of December. So
I'm very excited.
Just before my birthday. If you want to send me a present, that's fantastic. Love it. The whole idea of this one has been something. So I remember talking to, this must be maybe 5 years ago, talking to Hiscock Hertail.
Yeah.
About I think we were just like making puns or something. I don't know. And you said Thrifty Shades of Grey.
I think this might have been at a time when 50 Shades of Grey was probably more popular.
Yeah, like a movie might have been out about the time.
Yeah, because all the books had come out and then the movies came out, which were university shit. But hey, people enjoyed them. And there were so many puns going around about 50 Shades of Grey and all sorts. And I really wanted to do an event that was called Thrifty Shades of Grey, which was themed around you must get your outfit from a charity shop.
So that's kind of what we did. Do you know, I can't remember, did you come up with it?
Yes.
Or it was you?
This one was all me.
Was it? Okay.
For once.
You
Let
sure
me
it
have
wasn't
this one victory.
All right. It wasn't one of them that came up with it.
No, it was me.
Okay. Definitely you that came up with it.
Definitely me.
All right.
Because I was extremely proud of it and I don't normally come up with anything creative and this is mine.
So one of the things we wanted to do was, we know that Christmas time can be a bit...
Expensive,
draining, challenging.
Commodity driven.
Yeah, so
Yes.
we wanted to give back to the community by hosting a free event.
And it is completely free.
It is. So it's been opened up to our patrons first. They get first dibs, and then our Discord community, and then
People who've been to our events.
people have been to our events before.
Because
That's
it's not
right.
a huge one. This is just like I don't know, 60, 70 people maybe.
Thereabouts. And I think the thing was that was really important for me was that we were able to give back, do something a bit fun, and make it a stress-free event. Because quite often, if we're hosting an event, whether it's a social or one of the other ones, the big driving factor is trying to get the ticket sales sorted out. Not because it makes any money, because it doesn't, and certainly in this case, it's costing us money, but it's about kind of creating a full environment with lots of different people. So you kind of work really hard to promote it and get people to come along. And I wanted to remove that barrier so that we could have fun at the event and not be too worried about it. We can offer it up to people. We can give back. And then also, because there's a bit of a give back theme, this Thrifty Shades of Grey that you've come up with, Mrs. H, is all about sort of a charity shop driven thing. So if you want to dress up, rather than sourcing a new outfit, which becomes expensive, we have set the challenge of finding an outfit for less than 20 quid in a local charity shop. Well, it doesn't have to be. It could be any charity shop.
It could be any charity shop. People who live in London, they're winning because, they have some great thrift
But they
stores,
probably have to spend more than 20 quid, you see.
I don't know. You can get, having had a little hunt already, most things seem to come in at about £5.
Okay.
So you can get a decent outfit. You don't have to buy the shoes if you don't want to. You can have your own shoes, but it's got to be an outfit.
Or supplement a current outfit with something from a charity shop. I think just generally the idea was just to sort of get people out there, picking up some stuff, giving back to good charities, and also coming out and having a no pressure, fun social event where they don't
Christmas,
have to.
Right?
Yeah.
Just a nice party.
But of course, with the announcement of this, quite a few of our Discord members, because we've sold, people have picked up a lot of tickets. We have very, very few tickets left already.
Yeah.
They are already out there looking for charity shop items and new outfits. Now, I think I think women are probably going to be okay in this situation because there's a lot of women's outfits in the sort of charity shops. Because we've looked at about 20 charity shops over the last week, right?
Yeah, there's stuff I can get.
Men-wise, it is a very difficult challenge. If I can get a shirt that I like or a Christmas jumper type thing that works for this, then I think that's it. I'm not expecting to find like an amazing suit or outfit or anything like that for less than 20 or anything that actually fits me. So it is a real challenge. So I think we've inadvertently caused more stress for people. But
no, I think people are loving the theme so far. Loads of people have already started looking. And I think one of the fun parts of this is it doesn't matter if the outfit is a bit out there and a bit weird, like something you probably wouldn't ever wear, because that's the whole fun of it. You've bought something from a charity shop, you're giving to charity, and if you want to afterwards, you can just recycle it to charity again.
And I think we've encouraged people to do that as part of the whole thing. So if they pick something up that's a bit wacky and a bit out there, or they're not so keen on it, or it's a one-off wear, just return it to a charity shop.
Exactly.
And shop at the shop. Mm-hmm. And I think this is a whole really fun little experience for people. People certainly seem to be out there and exploring. I have never been to so many charity shops in my entire life. I'm not going to lie. It's been a hell of an experience just to kind of go out there and just have a look and really get stuck in. I found lots of like DVDs and stuff that I was like, ooh, but focus up, Mr. H. This is not what you're looking for. You're looking for clothing and items for this thing.
Yeah, I mean, accessories are fine as well. If you've already got something you've bought in the past from a charity shop, that's fine, as long as you do something it's like maybe an accessory or a bag or a belt. Or
I did find an entire collection of Voyager cassette tapes.
This is not helpful.
Which was a tenner for the whole series, and I was like, ooh. But
you've got it already.
Well, it's on Netflix and it's on Paramount, and I don't think I have Voyager on DVD.
Oh, you poor thing. How are you going to cope?
How awful for me. However, it was like, it just looked cool because it had that sort of retro 90s, plus it was video cassette. I don't even have a cassette player, but it looked cool. And I was like,
so if you're going to get this, you've got to get rid of a Transformer.
No, I don't.
We've just literally talked about how we have too many things in our house.
We do have
too many Transformers, too many boxes, too many everything.
It's not just Transformers. I want to point out, we just generally have a habit of buying too much stuff.
We do, because we like stuff.
I like stuff. Stuff is good. Especially
and now you're like, we could get Voyager.
No, I wasn't going to get it. I was just drawn to it because it looked cool. I was like, ooh, not vintage Star Trek, but like 90s Star Trek.
You're like a little magpie.
No, I'm literally not. Because I didn't buy it. I avoided it. And there we go. I am winning so far, but I don't have an outfit, so I'm not winning.
You have a Scooby snack.
So yeah, so if you're one of our Discord members, if you're one of our patrons, come along, get a ticket before they all go. Not much time left. It's going to be a really nice, chilled out sort of. We're not going to stress over it. We're going to have fun in it. We're not going to be worrying about hosting too much. It is just our way of giving back to the local community and our community. And I think that's a really cool little thing to do. And I'm quite looking forward to this one.
A nice party.
Yeah. Plus it's close to my birthday.
Party.
So yay. It's really a birthday party.
Are we theming all our events now around one of our birthdays?
No, because there's only two of us. So, it's not going to help. Yeah.
Just 2 events a year then.
That's fine. That takes a lot of stress out of the whole thing.
We could do the pets' birthdays.
No, let's not get complicated. Let's not do that.
But it's Yoko's birthday soon.
Yes, I know. We don't need another event in like a couple of weeks and then another event just immediately. We don't need this. We're not laying this shit on us. Anyway, so what else has been going on? We're about to go to a play event for the social club next week.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to that. I think that's about 40 people that have been to their previous events. So I think that's their first play event. So looking forward to that with some great interest to see how it all goes and how we go, really, because we've had lots of chats about how we kind of go through these types of things.
So my main challenge at the moment is the bloody menopause. And I know I sound like a stuck record, but this is really itching my shit at the moment. And I really, really need to find a solution because if anything, it's worse, not better.
Yeah, so we got the new meds.
Yeah, they have not been a success.
So I think the new meds, that the focus seemed to be that it was going to even out your emotional outbursts.
Brilliant.
But you didn't really have any emotional outbursts to begin with.
I didn't.
And now it just takes you ages to come. So...
And also even like the thought of sex is even further from my mind, weirdly.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
Probably because it's even more of an effort.
Yeah, it's like kind of stopped every emotion, not just like the worry of why don't I think about sex anymore? It's just stamped out every emotion I had and gone, I'm numb now.
So back we go, back to the doctors, and let's see what the hell we can figure out.
Oh, so some people have reached out to me because, I've been quite open about my challenges with menopause and libido and all that stuff because it's important to talk about it. And I know I'm not alone going through this. I know that. And lots of people have reached out with really supportive messages, but also really helpful ones. And a few people have now recommended Androfem to me, which is, I believe, a female kind of geared up for females only testosterone product. So testosterone is available in the UK on NHS for males and women, actually. And I had trialed Tostrogel before, which is the male testosterone. And it had some obviously positive impacts, but also some very negative ones. So yes, thank you. So Androfem, I believe, is made for women only. And it is testosterone, but in a different, maybe a more gentle solution, maybe, I don't know. But people have recommended it. It is not widely available in the UK, which is also a challenge. So I might have to seek this done a private route. But before I do that, because it's costly, I'm intrigued if anyone else has tried it and what kind of success you've had.
Yeah.
So please reach out if you have, or you've heard of it, or you've trialed it and it's been good for you.
Did you say it was called Androfem?
Androfem.
It's like another name for 7 of 9. Bring it back to Voyager.
I mean, if it makes me like 7 and 9, happy days.
Oh,
You'll be happy.
We'll have 6 buckets of that, please. My good man. We can do that. But yeah, so I think, with the play event coming up, I think we've talked a lot about it. We're still excited to go, and we're really happy to be going along and seeing some old friends, making some new ones. But I think it's, we talked about actually, do we go up on the Friday? Because it's like a one-day event. Do we go up the day before, catch up with other people? And I think for you, Mrs. H, sort of that would be a bit too draining. I think that's a lot.
Not that I don't like seeing people, but I don't want the added pressure of having to find my vibe twice. It's hard enough trying to find it once at the moment.
Well, I know where your vibe is. It's right next to the side of the bed because it's plugged in and it's easy to get.
But the problem is I don't want to do it. That's the problem, see? So it's taken a lot of mental capacity to get myself into a frame of mind where I can get myself into a kind of play scenario, sexy scenario. So I don't want to add to that by making it doubly hard on myself.
Yeah, no, I understand.
I'd rather have one really good night and throw everything into that energy-wise and try and get over this rather than have 2 mediocre nights because I'm just not able to pull through for both.
So to that end, I've bought 4 litres of Red Bull, 5 litres of Spanish Fly.
You better be fucking joking. You know I won't touch that shit. The Red Bull, I mean. I don't know what Spanish Fly is. But
So that's going to be fun. Anyway, we'll report back as to how that all goes and let you know how we're doing. But now we have an interview with the delightful, come on, what are the names? Names.
They are Bunny and A.
Bunny and A. So that's 2 lovely ladies who are starting to explore something new for them.
They are. I'm not going to give away too many spoilers, but yes, they're talking about a new dynamic they're all kind of shifting into and kind of what that means for them.
Yeah. So, Mrs. H, play the thing and enjoy it.
We've got something that's just for you. Holy shit, it's an inner you.
So I want to welcome to the show today 2 lovely ladies that we have with us. Now, if I'm going to get these names right, we have Bunny and we have A. So welcome to the show, ladies.
Hello. Hello.
There we go. See, that wasn't so tough. That was it. Great interview.
Great
Nicely
chat.
done. Thank you. So thanks for joining us. We met you folks at our recent reassembled thing in Birmingham. And we thought that we'd get you on the show and fire a load of questions to you and hopefully get to know you a bit better. And hopefully our listeners can get to know you a little bit better too. So hopefully you're ready. You've got all your answers prepped. You know everything that you're going to say. And this is going to be smooth as fuck.
I mean, did they know what we were going to ask them?
No, I didn't tell them
they
that. I just assumed that they'd done some research and listened to previous episodes because I am indeed so lazy that I haven't changed the questions.
All 200 or so of them.
Yeah, all 200 minimum, bare minimum. So the first question that we've got for you today is what is the capital of, how would you describe yourselves? You could describe each other if you fancy.
So A is an absolute pocket rocket. She's a bit rocky, which is definitely something that I really like about her. She's currently got copper hair, or at least I think that's what she was going for when she dyed it the other day. But yeah, absolutely gorgeous. Beautiful personality. And yeah, she's definitely turned into one of my favourite people.
Oh,
Now you got to follow that.
yeah, good luck.
That's why I went first.
Come on then. Let's
Dick
hear it.
move, Bunny. Dick move.
I had also like really old looking, which was what sort of grabbed RI in the very beginning. And I've put down here, because I do have notes.
So
I
professional.
like to be a little bit organised, but I don't need them to describe Bunny at all. She's just beautiful inside and out, absolutely stunning. Yeah, just kind. I'm a bit speechless really, because she's just knocked our socks off. So,
And there's nothing like speechless to really help with the podcast.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
well, at least
Yeah.
you get to talk more, babe.
Well, this is true. I can fill in some blanks, hopefully. So what I'd like to know is, how did you both get started in your sort of ethically non-monogamous swingy lifestyle?
So for me, I think very, very young, actually. So I wouldn't say that I would have considered myself
Non-monogamous?
non-monogamous. I can't speak. Oh, my days. Anyway, within the lifestyle, swinging lifestyle. But when I look back, I'm sort of thinking about it now, probably sort of very late teens. Definitely knew that I was bisexual very early on. So mid-teens, started to realise that that was who I am. And not that I identified as such then, but definitely knew that I was attracted to women or girls my age then. So we're talking sort of school age. And then looking back, probably played the role of a unicorn maybe when I was about sort of 17, 18, with a married couple. But at the time, I would have just said threesome, if I'm honest. I didn't really realise, I didn't know what unicorn was other than, the horse with the horns and things like that. But I had no idea of the terminology or what it was or anything like that. So it's always kind of been there. And it just seemed, when I used to watch things like Succettra, and they used to do sort of Desire episodes and things like that, it just wasn't a shock to me. It was just what seemed quite normal in a way, but got suppressed later on just in different relationships. And even the bisexual side, being told that it was wrong or it was slutty to be like that, or it was just really suppressed until I met C, who was very encouraging of that side of me. So that's kind of been from very early on to now. So it has always been there, I suppose. Yeah, so that's kind of my journey so far.
Wow. So you mentioned C there, a mysterious third character has entered the conversation. Who is C?
So C is my husband. We've been together 9 years, married for 2. And yeah, so when we got together, it was just an instant sort of connection. And he's just been really supportive and encouraging of, my sort of bisexuality then. But together, we've been talking about swinging or the lifestyle for maybe 2 to 3 years, actually, after listening to your podcast, and it brought up conversations, some TV programs that we were watching as well, as sort of brought together some conversations. And that's kind of how we've entered the lifestyle. I know you might talk about dynamics later, but we have entered it, or we entered the lifestyle as a sort of hot husband dynamic.
Wow.
That's where we were coming from.
I think we'll have some questions about that soon, but we'll come back to that. I can see
Yeah.
Bunny is absolutely raring to go. Probably, eliciting the name Bunny there, ready to go and answer questions. How did you get started, Bunny?
Yeah, so it's really similar to A, actually. So I knew I was bi really young. I didn't have any experiences with women until I was about 19. And it was actually my partner at the time who, I guess, pushed me into it. And I'll kind of use that word quite deliberately, because we ended up on a couple of sites, the site that shall not be named being one of them. And as a kind of hot-blooded male, he was absolutely like, this is my in to start looking into this life. And we did a few clubs and we did a few kind of solo meets. And I think, like everyone, I've got some pretty interesting tales to tell off the back of some of those. But they were never really, I don't think I was ever fully comfortable with the situation. And I think that was definitely off the back of the person that I was doing it with versus the actual situation itself. So we kind of stepped back from it. And, you know, a few years later, we actually broke up. And then I went and lived a very mundane, vanilla life for quite a while. And after kind of 7 years, that relationship broke down. And it was the first time I could really kind of take a step back and be like, well, this is my opportunity to be me, explore as me, understand all the kind of, I guess, repressed, I don't think I'd go as far as saying kinks, but all these things that I've wanted to explore for so long. So after a, I don't know, 12, 13-year hiatus, it was quite exciting to come back into it. Very different coming back into it as a single female. But it was also really liberating as well. So it's always kind of been there. So similar to A, it's always been in the background. It's always been something I knew I wanted, something I wanted to explore. And, you know, play with multiple people was definitely one of the things that I really enjoyed. I think as a bi female, it's about the only time you ever kind of get everything you want in one delightful package. So yeah, it was nice to kind of come back into it after such a break. And I think I described it to someone else the other day as like, it was like coming home. It just felt right.
That's so interesting. So I'm actually going to throw in another question which Miss Shades doesn't know about. So sorry, derail him early stage. Hey, going back to your story briefly, when you were fortunate, you know, enough to meet C and start a really, really lovely life together. Did you tell him from the word go that you were bisexual, or did that kind of come out a little bit later?
Definitely. I mean, not straight away as in the first sort of few days or week or so, but those conversations came around very early on. So I would say, you know, after sort of where this was going to go, you know, was this going to become something that was going to be, you know, long term? It did come out quite early. I think he probably knew anyway before I actually told him. The thing that's quite interesting, just going off it a little bit, is that not long after I met him, did I start to have perimenopause symptoms. So I went through that quite young, really. I was about 38, 39 when that started to happen. And I know it's been talked a lot about on the show, but sort of my libido dropped massively and had, you know, quite a debilitating, I can't speak. I'm honestly not always like this.
Debilitating
time with it. So there were struggles within our own sort of sex life as well. So again, things were really sort of suppressed in that situation. However, HRT happened, you know, and things like that. And the libido came back. And that is when we started to talk about the lifestyle, because it was just like, it came back with a vengeance. And it was, you know, sort of fantasies that I was having and sort of scenarios that were in my head that really made me find podcasts on swinging and lifestyle. And then the conversation started to happen. So it was actually what Bunny just said about she felt being pushed into it when she was younger. It was definitely me that instigated the conversations within our sort of journey, then the beginning of our journey into this.
Thank you. So what's your magic solution for the libido going away? When I find it,
No, it took, you know, for 5 years, I was diagnosed by the GPs as having fibromyalgia. So it just wasn't on the radar because I was so young. And, you know, without going into too much detail, all of, you know, joint, all of it. Oh,
yeah, you think you like go mad, don't you? Yeah.
Absolutely everything. And, you know, so that's what I was being treated for until I started to listen to other podcasts, which are well known sort of in menopause world. I don't know if I can mention it by name, but like Louise Newson, those kind of sort of podcasts, that I took a load of research and information with me, loaded to the GP, got on HRT, but there was still a missing ingredient until I had to go private for testosterone, but it's the female one that isn't widely prescribed at the moment. So hopefully very soon in the UK. And just after a few months of that, it just really kicked in and brought that back. So I think it was a lot of things, a lot of factors played into that. But that was definitely the pinpoint of the libido coming back. But then I wanted more.
Yeah, something to funnel it a bit. Yeah. I feel like I've derailed the podcast now. Sorry, I've made it about me, which is unusual. It's normally about you, Sweet.
This is very true.
However, I will keep on track, and I do have another question. for both of you this time. So we've touched on this a little bit, but I want to explore a bit more. And you're right, we're going to ask you a little bit about your dynamic. So can you both describe your dynamic within the ethically non-monogamous lifestyle?
As I touched upon, we've sort of entered this as a hot husband dynamic. So although there was, I'm bisexual, and part of that was to explore with women again, that had been suppressed for so long. So I suppose you could call it a kink. The main kink was wanted to see with other women. And that was also either me being part of that, so the sort of threesome scenario, or I'm a bit of a voyeur as well. So I would be quite happy to sit back and watch and just have like massive compersion for seeing the pleasure that he would receive or give to somebody else. So that was that's my little kink on the side of all of this. So that's what we entered into the lifestyle as, a hot husband scenario. We've been to clubs. We have been to other very small local socials. We've also had a private meet. The private meet was a couple, so it was a soft scenario. It was very early on in our journey, and it was definitely something we didn't want to repeat necessarily. So I didn't necessarily enjoy being with another male, and it just took away that kind of, just took away the dynamic. It wasn't really what we wanted. However, I'm very grateful for that experience, because what it did do was allow me to understand that I could actually see with another woman. I think he was very fearful that although this was all in my head and we've talked about it and we've, gone through all the conversations, when it actually happened, could I bear that? So that experience that we did have allowed me to know, and for him to know, yes, I could.
That's actually a lot we can relate to, I think. Thank you. And Bunny, what about you?
Yeah, so I guess super simple. Came in this time round as a single female. So yeah, unicorn if you want to use that phrase. But it was very much a case of just kind of opening myself up to any experience. So it was nice not to, I guess, go into it thinking about boundaries with partners. What can I do? What do I like? Am I going to have to be mindful of a partner's kind of intentions with someone else? And actually, it's been a real big shift this time, not having to think about someone else. I think I kind of used the word liberating before, and I definitely say that again. And, obviously from the chat, the Discord chat, it was really nice just to be able to kind of, I guess, float freely between people, kind of building those connections and seeing where they go, and, being quite fluid between all of those different dynamics and being able to potentially slot in there, which was nice. And I think, when you go in with a partner, so A and C, for example, A kind of touched on it then, there's a lot you've got to consider when it comes to having that dynamic, whereas I didn't. And it was great. It was nice to be really selfish for once and just kind of think of me and what I wanted. So yeah, single. That was a really long-winded way of saying, yeah, single female. Trying not to give one-word answers, but there's only so much you can dress up a unicorn.
Oh, plenty of ways you can dress up a unicorn.
Plenty of ways you can dress up as a unicorn as well.
Yeah.
So that's, and your dynamic together then, how has that all come about?
$1 million question.
So when the Discord chat opened for the reassembled and you had the who are you section, so everyone was putting their who are yous, I put one on as a couple, so me and C together, and sort of described a little bit of the hot husband dynamic. That's what we were kind of about. And then C put up one by himself as the hot husband. And then obviously Bunny was in there as well. And the long and short of it is that we both sort of had said to each other, there's somebody that's caught our eye. So we both had that initial, I was a bit of, physical attraction. It is at that point, isn't it? Because all you have got is a couple of photos and a little description of somebody. And we had both said that to each other. And then he just kind of slid into her DMs.
Yep. There's no other way to say it.
What happened? And I can tell you, it was in the evening, I think, if I'm not wrong, Bunny. I think it might have been a Thursday, not that I remember details very much. And he did say, I've just DM'd Bunny. Just want to find out a little bit more, start a chat going. And I was like, yeah, cool, that's fine. And that was it. fell asleep. That was the end of that. And then didn't wait to find out what happened. But then in the morning, I woke up to a message from Bunny. And I think this was where our connection really started, because she was checking in with me basically to say, I know that Sia's messaged me, but also just out of respect and, to sort of keep this conversation open. He's described, what your kind of dynamic is, what, a little bit about you both. But I just want to give you the respect that this has happened, and I want to know that you're okay with it. And that to me was just like, wow, how it was just brilliant, because I think he had described a little bit of that. I was happy with it. I wanted to see, potentially one of the kinks is seeing him with someone else. But for Bunny to contact me and to say, look, this is happening. Are you okay with it? And is it okay if we talk? Was, it's what it's about, isn't it?
That's
I think
really lovely. Yeah.
It was really important to me though, because, and again, maybe this is from things that have happened in my past, but I've been in situations where my partner had been talking to someone and I wasn't comfortable with it, and there wasn't that open line of communication, and it felt like this separate thing was happening. And I suppose I wouldn't want anyone to have gone through that. So it was really important to me that, this was the dynamic I was reading on paper, that was then translating through the fantasy. But now, it did, it has progressed, and I think we'll kind of go on to a little bit about how it's kind of morphed and shifted and changed. But it was really nice to see that everything that C was saying was really genuine and really true, and how that kind of, it's so easy to say that through a phone and through a channel, and to say my partner's happy, they're happy for me to say this, they're happy for me to send this. But actually being able to get that kind of confirmation and checking from A was really useful. And I don't think that stopped being true, even then when we kind of met in person and those types of things. I think those check-ins became just part of the dynamic for us and making sure everyone was okay. But I think the way, I guess, it's kind of progressed now, although to be fair, I think, from our perspective, we're definitely still finding our feet. We had a conversation post-social as to what just happened, what is this? And I think, it's one of those, for me personally, where I didn't expect to form such a strong emotional connection with A and C as I did. I kind of went in as this kind of airy fairy, oh, I'm a unicorn, like I can be wherever I want. So all of a sudden, like, oh, I really like these two people and I like where this is going. And we've kind of joked and talked back and forth about labels. I'm very anti-label. I don't like labels. And I'm very much a case of, it is what it is right now. I'm enjoying getting to know A and C together. And it's kind of just a case of, we're here, and I'm personally not planning on seeing or exploring with anyone else. I think, the phrase shit swingers has been bandied about a bit. So it's possible that I'm a bit of a shit swinger, but that's certainly where I feel how it's kind of gone in terms of dynamic. I don't know, A, if you wanted to add anything.
Yeah, because I think leading up to the social, we were having our own conversations. So Bunny and I were very much in contact with each other pretty much daily. C and Bunny were also in contact daily as well. And I really enjoyed seeing those conversations happen between C and Bunny, but also really enjoyed our conversations too. And it was I just think we just knew from the beginning that there was something a little bit deeper happening. There was a lot of alignment with what we were all saying to each other, but what we were saying in our own private conversations as well. So we didn't have a group chat. So it wasn't like we were all chatting together. There was our own independent chats going on, which I think was, for me, really lovely, because we connected on a really deeper level. And then there was it was physical and emotional connection that was happening between myself and Bunny, but also between Bunny and C. So that all was happening in the background before the social. And of course, you go to the social thinking, I remember you saying in the beginning, this sort of just to be mindful about building a connection with people on chats and then seeing them in person, and it might not be everything you want it to be, and all of that. And that was always in the back of my mind. I was thinking, oh no, we're breaking the rules, kind of thing. This is all going to go wrong. But we had arranged to have pre-drinks before the pre-drinks. So on the Friday, we met. We actually picked Bunny up in an Uber, from where she was staying to go for drinks. And I think just the second you got into the Uber, it was just like, it's like corny, isn't it? But it was just like we just knew each other immediately, but not just independently as Bunny and myself, or C and Bunny, but us as a three. Like, just something happened. And we're all sort of a bit like, well, what was that? Like, what did happen? And we still can't really explain it, but it was just really natural. And yeah, it was just unexplainable, really, I suppose.
I mean, that it's really interesting. I'm really pleased for you. It sounds like it's already a really strong connection. It's so funny you mentioned about that bit in the sort of rules of manage your expectations, because for every time it works out, it's almost like there's 5 times where we're counselling someone when the tears are running down their face and we're sat at the back of an event going, yep, sometimes you just got to be a bit but now I'm going to have to say most of the time it doesn't pan out, but sometimes it really does pan out. So
we're really happy when it does work out.
It's
We've
great.
had people get engaged at one of our events.
We have,
before,
yeah.
And then subsequently got married, which is tremendous.
Though,
Sometimes things
flip
really
side,
do work out.
we've had couples separate in our bedroom. So, I mean, you got to take the rough with the smooth, right?
Glass half full, babe.
Yeah, exactly.
We did. I mean, we did have a few FaceTimes. We had a FaceTime, and there was quite a long FaceTime sort of leading up to the event as well. And there was just so much communication. But there was a lot of communication between C and myself as well. So even though I wasn't expecting him to sort of read out detailed messages of what was happening between Bunny and him, I knew the gist of it. You know, there were some sexual conversations, there were some also emotional conversations, but that was also happening between myself and Bunny as well. And there were definite pinpoints throughout those conversations that I was like, really, yeah, Bunny really understands our dynamic, and really respectful of what, you know, my boundaries were, our boundaries were. So there was a lot going on, and we've just been very open in our communication with each other.
That's really good. What I'd like to know then is, so you certainly seem to have gone through a variety of experiences. What have you learned about yourselves throughout this whole process? Not just the recent stuff, but throughout your experiences as a total.
So it's a weird one for me. And I think it actually just comes down to the fact that I deserve to be a bit more confident than I am. So it's super, super personal. I went into the social with not a lot of confidence because of kind of stuff that happened in my past relationship. You know, the kind of sex had been off the cards for a long time. And I don't know if it's a female thing, it's probably just a person thing. But when that happens, you kind of always point the fingers back. Oh, it must be me. I must be doing something wrong. I must not look the way I'm supposed to. And I still have loads of kind of body hang-ups and stuff like that. And I think the whole going in as a single female, I mean, most people are on Rise and going like, right, a single female walking into an experience like this, you're going to get attention. But it was more than that somehow. And I think, you know, it's kind of like, actually, not only is there nothing actually wrong with you, for starters, like you're kind of okay. And it's been really kind of nice to meet A and C, because they've really done a lot to kind of bolster that, I guess, opinion of myself. And because we've been able to be quite open and honest, way more open and honest than I'd expect to be with anyone kind of at this stage, that's been really useful. And I think, you know, for a lot of people, if you don't go in with a level of confidence, this can be really tricky, because if you're not putting yourself out there and you're not kind of having those conversations, then you probably won't necessarily get anywhere. And I definitely saw, and I don't know if you guys did, but my confidence went from, oh my God, what the hell is going on in the Discord chat, to kind of actually quite happy to be quite vocal and, you know, put myself out there a little bit and, you know, have a few flirty conversations. And that really helped me, you know, in terms of how I felt about myself, how I felt about the situation. And it allowed me to go into the whole experience in a very, very different way. So I feel like I've just kind of, you know, transformed over the last month. And it sounds really superficial. It's not just about, you know, the aesthetic and the way you look and things like that. It's just kind of actually fundamentally as a person, I'm strong enough to do something like this on my own. So that's probably it. That's probably a bit cliche, but that's probably it for me.
No, that was fantastic. And you've got to follow this up now. You know, let's expect nothing less than sensational. All right.
Yeah, I think for me, you know, going into this with Sia's hot husband dynamic, what is that? So, was that sort of multiple meets with multiple partners? Did I want him to like complete it? Complete the swinging scene with someone new all the time? Was that what was in my head? And I think what I've learned, and we had joked, about him. I remember saying to him, I definitely think I could, I reckon you could have a girlfriend and I'd be all right with that. But that was just a joke. It was like in the back of my mind a little bit. But what I've learned actually is that I thought, I'd be happy if I want to use the word to share my husband physically with somebody else. But actually, it has gone beyond that. I am sharing him emotionally with somebody else, He is pretty much, there's a relationship between him and Bunny. There is a deeper connection there. And I just didn't think, okay, so going back to the no kissing rule, when we first started talking about going into lifestyle, I was like, I don't think I can see you kiss somebody. I don't think I'd be all right with that. And then that was out the window very quickly. And then it was like, oh yeah, but then this and that changed as well. And now, we're not just talking about going to a club and meeting somebody that we don't know and just having a physical connection or being intimate in some way. Like there's a relationship building. And I actually feel I never ever thought that I'd be able to share him in that way with somebody else, but it just feels completely natural to do so. Yeah, that's what I've learned, I think. But I do think that's because of the connection that we've all had and the mutual respect and openness and transparency and honesty that we've all had from the get-go, really. That's the learning curve for me.
It's quite a good thing as well, because A might be a pocket rocket, but I'm absolutely terrified of her. I feel like if I did make one wrong move, she will, make me pay for it. So it's probably a good job she likes me and that she's okay with all of this, because it's kind of just happened very, very quickly.
But I think that's the thing as well. I actually, and I've said this to Bunny quite a few times, I think because the bisexual side of me was suppressed for so long. And when we got into the sort of the hot husband thing, and it was like, oh, well, yeah, maybe I could get involved a little bit if I, maybe if I like them, there might be a bit of soft play going on with me, but it's all about you and being with someone else. And that has completely changed now. So there is that definite sexual connection between us as well. So, yeah, I think a lot has changed. What I've definitely gone into this sort of lifestyle thinking is not what I've come out with, but in a very positive way.
Thank you. So on that note, I'm going to segue slightly into the flip side of all this. So what have been some of the challenges that you've both come across?
So if we talk about this specific, what's happening for us at the minute, the challenges haven't been there yet. However, we're definitely not sort of naive in thinking that there won't be. So, but Bunny has been really respectful in saying to me, are you going to be okay with this? Are you okay with that? Not only did we spend the Friday night, at the sort of pre-social, we spent most of Saturday, we spent all of Saturday together during the day, going off and doing stuff. And there was a lot of flirting between sort of Bunny and C. But I still think there was a little bit of, or is A going to be all right with this? Or, if we kiss now, is that okay? All of that kind of thing. So I think the challenges have been understanding boundaries so far and maybe not wanting to push them, but also knowing that there could be something that will upset one of us at some stage. Just like any relationship, something may happen at some point where we're going to have to, or someone's going to feel something and that might not be as positive as it has all been so far. But I don't know if Bunny feels the same, but I think because of the open conversations that we're having constantly and the transparency that we're having within that, if you want something to work, you work through it, right? So
couldn't agree more. I think one of the great things that I've discovered about, not just about this whole thing, is that every relationship requires a level of effort and, and maintenance. And if you don't put that work in, then you'll lose them. And, that goes from having friends to having much stronger, bigger relationships with people. And I've often thought that, for those that don't sort of try and meet those challenges and talk them through openly, honestly, and have those proper conversations, then they tend to lose those relationships quite easily.
I think sometimes people, I get asked a lot, like, oh, you guys got a perfect relationship and how have you been together 25 years? And I'm like, actually, it takes work. Over 25 years, I'm sure there's been times when we've not seen eye to eye on things, but by and large, we both put a commitment and try and work through things occasionally, because you don't just throw the towel in after putting all that work in, do you? Right. So, and I think I'm really happy when I say I think I've met my soulmate. I can't imagine life without Mr. H.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad you added Mr. H to that. I was like, who the fuck have you met?
Sorry, let's bring D into the conversation.
Who is this other woman? Because undoubtedly it'll be a woman.
But no, you're right. Relationships do take work, and even relationships which aren't that orthodox, and we're all talking here about unorthodox, unconventional relationships. That should be no different. You put in what you want to get out of them. So it sounds like some of the challenges that you've anticipated you might come across, it's probably really sensible to think it's all good now, but let's be mindful of things that might crop up.
There's definitely going to be things, right? Like you said, in any relationship, in friendships or whatever, family, something's going to happen that it could be something as simple as, just the wrong move at the wrong time or something that might trick one of us. But what I would say is at the minute, and I suppose I know C isn't here to sort of give his part in all of this, but it took a lot of conversation for him to understand why I had this kink in the first place. Why did I want to see him with somebody else? It took him a long time to get his head around that. And he did enter this reluctantly in the beginning, into the lifestyle in general.
Does it feel, for some people, I think it feels like a trap. Do you know what I mean? It's like a bit of entrapment.
That is probably like the thing that so I was obviously going to kind of like butt in with my challenges. But obviously it's weird for me because I'm still in the stage where I suppose I've only been speaking to ANC for a month or so now. And it's almost like, I know you're saying you're fine. And, your voice it hasn't gone all weird and squeaky, but are you actually fine? And A was mentioning the kind of trip that we did around the social on the Saturday. And yeah, absolutely. I'm a very flirty person. There was definitely some kind of back and forth flirting actually with everyone because that's just kind of who I am. But there was definitely a note of check back. Is A okay? Is A comfortable? Is A, storming off down the street about to rip my throat out? Something like that. But it was all fine. And actually, C actually got
bad, honestly.
C actually got a bit of a telling off for not, kissing me and this kind of stuff because apparently, we I don't know, we were doing it wrong apparently. But that's because we were checking in and we were making sure when, as things progressed later that night, it was exactly the same thing. It was that kind of constant check-in. But I think, and I know this is more broadly, but I suppose this is a much more recent scenario and I've only just dipped my toe back into the lifestyle. So this is probably the most relevant. But for challenges for me, I guess I am the party that's outside of the relationship coming in. So I've got two people to make sure that are okay. And that's not to say they don't make sure I'm okay at all, but I'm the person that's got basically this marriage and this union that needs to stay intact. Otherwise I'd be very unhappy, and I'm also not there. So, a lot of our communication is obviously via text, the odd FaceTime call. I can't always talk more openly as well. So for me, it's quite difficult. And, it's so, I think the value in those little kind of, just before bed chats and this kind of stuff, I'm always going to be at a distance. And I think actually learning for us to navigate that. And also the fact that because I'm on my own, I don't get the kind of little cuddles and the little check-ins and stuff like that. And it's making sure that, from a emotional connective side, from an intimacy side, the fact that it doesn't feel like I'm left out. And I think we navigate that really well and we talk about it really openly. And, bless him, they've had a very teary voice note from me already and we're only like technically a week in. So, it's those types of things. But you know, and you add that to the fact that we live how many, like
4.5 hour drive.
4.5 hour drive apart. Yeah. We've got a trip planned, and this, honestly, we do all appreciate how incredibly insane this all is. So
I think what we found is often the best relationships are the ones that you establish and then you find that people are fucking miles away every time.
Honestly.
I think that my favourite one was when we met Bradford and Angela off by the Bay, and we were like, oh, they're lovely, wonderful people. Oh, they live in Australia.
Right, honestly. It's always the way though, isn't it? But you know,
Yeah.
that's a testament to a really good sort of bound foundation there. I think that you're all willing to make the journey and put the hours in because it's worth it. So
Yeah, definitely. And what I would say as well is, you know, I was just saying about sort of C's reluctance to come into the lifestyle and that kind of apprehension that he had. There were tears leaving Birmingham on Sunday from both of us. He had, you know, the club situation didn't work out well for us. He was very uncomfortable in that environment. The private meet was a good experience. It did what it was there to do. And we were very grateful for that. But again, it wasn't for him. He was really happy and relaxed at the social. That was he said, great environment, loved it, had a lovely time. Although we did kind of keep in our little booth until the karaoke, and we did kind of stick with each other, and we did have chats with other people, but he loved that. And I think, you know, we met Bunny for breakfast on the Sunday as well before we all sort of had to head home. And for him to turn around to me and sort of say, like, what is this? You know, what is this? Because not only was he struggling with maybe having to be physical with, you know, poor him, physical with another woman, but it wasn't just it wasn't just that. Then there was something else there, and I know it like when he said it's insane to explain, but there was something. He's not a very sort of emotional, teary person, but we just didn't want to leave and found that very difficult. And the conversation in the car on the way back was like, what has just happened? What has just happened? Because that was not, it was not just a physical thing. You know, the boundary thing as well, and what might be comfortable and what might be not be comfortable was that, you know, I know we said, you know, sort of all cards are on the table, but we were on the Saturday night then after the social, we had our own little social with our own little after party. And I really thought one of the things I would struggle with was a CNC affectionate after. You know, I know that's been discussed on various podcasts as well, is that intimacy that happens after a sort of sexual experience. And I think, Bunny, you were really conscious of that, you know, C went in for the cuddle after. And
I don't think I could have kicked him away. I must have looked so cold. I was going to say from an outsider, but I suppose to you, because he's and again, we've talked about this before, kind of between us. But for me, knowing what I then knew about how your previous experiences had gone, for me, that affection wasn't, oh, you're great, you're the best, you know, whatever, or like your usual kind of post-sex snuggle. It was, oh my God, this worked. It worked, and A's happy and I'm happy, and this experience has actually been a success. And it wasn't, like I say, it wasn't intimacy in the same form. But in my head, I was like, whoa, I'm being cuddled here. Like, just kind of slowly roll over. Like, what am I doing? What's going on? So I was really keen to just and I actually think I used the phrase afterwards, no, you guys go, my part's done. And you were like, don't say that.
Yeah, it's just like, this is not, you know, because, okay, the unicorn, but Bunny is not, you know, I really haven't and don't want to label Bunny as a unicorn at all, because to us, that's not what she is. You know, it's beyond that. Yes, initially in the Discord chat, oh, a unicorn, oh, you know, great. It's what, you know, but it's gone way past that. And actually, I think I would have throttled C more had he not have gone in for that cuddle, because it was natural. And I think it was it was the right thing to do, because we didn't want it to be a sort of eat, shoot and leave situation. It was definitely, there was more to it than that. 100%. Yeah, and the hand holding or the little flirting that was going on. And I think there could have been a potential spontaneous kiss at one point, and they didn't do that because they felt that it might not be right for me to see it at that particular point, just roaming around Birmingham and things like that. But I thought I thought I wouldn't want to see that side of it, that affection, that emotional connection. But actually, I want to nurture that now. That's where I feel I want to nurture their connection, because it is just, yes, it's just special to all of us now, I think.
So what I would say to anyone coming to a bed hopper event is this doesn't happen to everyone, right? This is like a...
What, with lightning in a bottle?
Yeah. We can't guarantee this level of lightning in a bottle.
Fireworks.
Every
yeah. Although we do, some people I think do make some very, very, very close
I mean,
connections,
regardless of what happened between us, it was fun. It was just a fantastic night. The social was brilliant. So apart from what was going on for us three, it was just brilliant. The environment was great. Everyone was lovely, welcoming, friendly. It was just such a lovely, lovely thing to be part of in general, outside of our little bubble. It was brilliant.
And apparently it was our first test as well, because I actually managed to be the one that got jealous of C. So that was an interesting shade of green I turned. So A was quite happy to sit back and watch me kiss and cuddle. But bearing in mind the setting and the atmosphere we were in, apparently when I'm around, that's not acceptable. That was fun.
It's definitely a learning experience, which in a wonderful segue takes me to the next question, which is, what advice would you give to newbies?
I think, the word dynamic gets thrown around a lot. And again, this is reflective of kind of my experience. But I would say just allow yourself to be quite fluid and open to whatever the situation brings, because I think different people will inspire different things in you. So whilst it's really good to know and understand what your boundaries are, I think, don't be afraid to lean into those or away from those as they kind of chop and change, because, you can call yourself a certain dynamic and then walk in and find actually it really wasn't for you, or actually that didn't quite encompass it. And we've started talking about those different labels and stuff recently, and it is genuinely just quite confusing. And we were trying to work out, right, what would we be called? And I was like, maybe we just don't call ourselves anything and we just enjoy our time. But yeah, I'd just say it can almost limit you in quite a negative way. So I'd just say just try and enjoy it and make those connections and then work out what you want from there.
That sounds good. I think one of the best bits of advice I remember hearing, I think Daryl from Wanderlust Swinger says, always try food twice, because if you try it the first time you don't like it, assume that it was cooked or prepared improperly. So try it again the second time, and if it's still shit, then you probably don't like it. But it goes with life, But it doesn't apply to me putting a cock in my mouth, just so that the mistake is clear on that.
Oh, no.
I mean,
that audiobook is still playing every night. I don't know where it comes from. You will love the cock. You will love the cock.
no, I'm going to try the reverse psychology now. I'm just going to be like, no, you don't want it.
No, I don't.
Yeah, that's
There you go.
it.
See?
I never want to
That's
see
fine.
that
I
in my
don't want you to
life.
want it.
It's the way she winks when she says it. I never want to wink. See,
Can't
wink.
imagine anything worse than seeing.
And what would be your tips for newbies after consulting with your oracle-like notes?
So I would say, I can't say communication because that's not allowed. However, I'm going to use that in some way and say, it's transparency. For me, I think transparency, being just completely transparent about what you want, where you're coming from, so when you are, I'm going to use the word communicate, when you are communicating, to be transparent within that, because everyone can communicate, right? But that doesn't mean you're communicating in a good way all the time. So definitely being, just completely transparent and open. And I agree with what, Bunny said. We were saying, is this poly? Is this a throuple? Like, what is this? But actually, it's just what it is. We've just all kind of fell a little bit into this three and just enjoy what it is.
I think, it's so early in that process and you're still figuring out everything. So I think to label it at this point when you don't know yourselves would be like you say, it would be restrictive, I think. So just enjoy what it is, I think. And as time goes on, then you can absolutely slap a label on it because you'll know more about it. I'm very about labels, as you may know, because I write and I like being able to say what it is. But there's no point doing that when you don't know yourself. So you kind of need to explore and discover and figure it all out. come back in a while and then we'll have that chat about what label it is. Then we can slap it on the top and I can be in the knowledge that I know what something is about.
You need that thing that comes at the end of like first dates when it like brings up the recap of how it all progressed.
Yes. Or something like a RoboCop visor where I've got like a crosshair and I look at people and it identifies and it comes up and it goes, this is what they are. And it does it for me so I don't have to.
Did you ever have a label maker when you were a kid?
No, I didn't.
Would you like one now? As an
No,
adult?
I know you've got one. I've got
Love a
a...
label maker.
I don't have
We
a
do
label
have one
maker.
somewhere. Yeah, we do.
Well, why are we not making labels then for everything?
Because I got
Sounds
the
amazing.
little photo printing thing instead, and that was much more fun. Anyway, I can see that Mrs. H here is dying to ask her favourite question.
Oh, I like this question.
Go for it.
Yeah, my fave. Yeah, having a rant about things. So, room 101, my favourite thing. If you could put one thing into 101, so something that you could just bin off, get rid of it from, let's call it a lifestyle, go on, what would it be?
So I've really thought about this, and after all the label chat, I now don't feel like I can put labels in to Room 101. But do you know what? And I'm going to be very careful with how I phrase this. I've got animated now. I can feel my hands going. Really rogue, and I try to be really different with this answer. Finger prick blood tests.
Yes.
So
They can fuck off.
annoying.
bad.
Like sensible swing. Bearing in mind, I completely went to this thing expecting nothing to happen. It was a social. I was dipping my toe in. I was just building some confidence, and I was like, no, I'm sensible. I'm going to do this properly. So obviously ordered the super duper kit. Thank you, NHS. Why couldn't I bleed? I just didn't understand, and it got to the point where I'd used my scary Lancet thingy. I'd convinced myself that there were 3 in the box, but I could only find 1. I had to order some more from Amazon to come the next day. So I now have 100 Lancets. Still, I showered, I exercised, I was holding mugs of tea. For the love of, I could not get this thing to work. And yeah, I mean, my poor fingers were battered and bruised, and I had to still order another kit and try again the next week. But yeah, that's what I'm putting in, because we try and be safe, but they don't make it easy.
I love that.
I'm going to jump in with this because I could not agree more.
You hate them, don't you? I did the last one for you, and I got blood out of you.
Well, the funny story is, so Carolyn here did this one for me. And because I normally can't bleed, it's just one of those things. So even if they're trying to get it out of my veins, it's an awful, traumatic experience.
I made him bleed.
So she made me bleed, put it on the side.
From his nose, from just a good cry.
Well, no, she was like milking my finger.
I did. I got,
It was-
It is actually called milk in the finger.
Yeah, I got blood out of him. Don't
Really
worry.
sexy move. And then she put it on the side and fucking knocked it over and then had to do it all over again. I was like, honestly, I cannot describe to you how upset I was about this.
My claret, my precious claret on the bathroom
What was
floor.
the dog was like, oh, blood, no.
She didn't touch it, don't worry. She did not touch it.
Radioactive dog. But
I was so cross to myself.
and I think just generally injections or taking blood I'm not good at, so they can't get it from the normal place for me. So they go on the back of my hand now. So when I go to like the GUM clinic or whatever it is, and I often will phone up and go in rather than trying to do it myself and suffer through this. And there'll be a cocky fucking nurse who'll be like, don't you worry about it. I've got 40 years, blah, 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 blah. Can they fucking get it out of my arm? Can they fuck? And this happened on our wedding. So we got married in Mexico. And one of the things you had to do at the time, it was a legal requirement that you had to get your blood test done. I don't know why. I just assumed to ensure that we're not cousins or whatever, or riddled or something. I don't know, whatever. But it took them 13 goes on to actually get blood out of me. And so you can't see in my wedding pictures I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt, but my arms are just bruised to.
Like something out of Train Spotting.
Yeah, it does look awful.
I, on the other hand,
First
I'm
time.
like a fountain.
Yeah.
I literally like, wee.
But what about with the blood?
Ways.
Yeah, I get blood really easy. It's great. Love it. But yeah, we can go on with 101. I'll allow that.
Absolutely allowed. And A, what about you?
Yeah, I'm not going to be as funny as that. But I completely agree, because actually mine was fine, but C's was an absolute nightmare, and we had to redo his because his just didn't go very well either. And I can, if I had knocked his over once we got the full pot filled, I don't know where we'd be now. But I want to put into 101, and this is controversial, the phrase "the naughty hobby" is what I'm going to put into room 101.
And I know where that comes from quite a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think it's, it's been, I get the ick every single time I hear it, because for me, is it a hobby? I don't go out on a Tuesday night and, just do something for an hour and come back. It's not like, Transformers hobby, like all of these kind of things. It's a hobby. I don't know if you call it a hobby or lifestyle. I'm not sure. I might be getting water there, but I just think is it a hobby? Is it something you pick up and put down? And I understand the perception that it's not something you may do all the time, and some people may jump into sort of lifestyle events every so often because life, and it might only happen once a year or every 6 months that you get to sort of experience lifestyle events or activities. But it just really grates on me so much, because I think it's a lifestyle choice. It's a lifestyle choice. You wouldn't say sort of being bisexual is a hobby or being something that
I'm very much with you. And if I may interject slightly,
great.
I think to call what for you over the last month or few weeks that has been a life-changing experience, a hobby, is really devaluing what you've been through and what you're experiencing at the moment.
Yeah, I think it is. Very much so.
It devalues all of the relationships that you make, all of the friendships, all of the other things, by reducing it down to something that sounds like you're doing a bit of knitting, frankly.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I don't like the phrase at all. It feels like it's taking it back to like a 1950s bloody beachfront postcard.
I was thinking it's giving me Carry On vibes.
Yeah, it just feels really derogatory, really base. Saucy. Yeah. And I think, I don't want to say that this is all fine art and it's like that it's all life changing all the time, but it is more than something like a little thing you do in a corner on a Friday night. Do you know what I mean?
It's like all the sex people ratting over there.
There's sex people, Lynn.
No, it cheapens it completely.
I think that's such a great word, actually. It just cheapens it. It cheapens the experience. It is derogatory. It just doesn't sit right with me somehow. This to me is not a hobby. I'm not playing with my marriage here. It's not like it's not a hobby that I'm and I'm sure for everyone else it's a lifestyle choice. You're choosing to live and to engage in relationships in a maybe non-societal way, how we're supposed to be, isn't it? But I wouldn't call it a hobby.
It almost takes the emotion out of it, which is
really
weird
does.
because I suppose, and again, appreciate how new the situation is, but it's the emotional and the connection that I guess really made it different for you, and particularly, I'm sure you won't mind me saying, but particularly for C as well. Yeah, that was like the difference maker, and for him to just. But I think if it was a hobby, I think he'd have been all out.
Yeah, definitely.
You can put that in one-on-one for sure. It's very tacky.
They can both things can get in the bin. So, what would be, and maybe you haven't had this conversation, what would be your ideal date? Now that could be as a 3. What would, you've got the opportunity to set it out now. The next time you all catch up, what is it going to be? What's the date?
Well, I think we have had this conversation, amazingly.
There we go.
And I mean, if you ask C, he'll give you a slightly different number of days until I actually go and visit. But for me personally, it's just down the beach. So, I mean, I'd personally go for hot chocolate. I think A and C would probably go for wine. But big blanket, just chilling out under the stars, just enjoying each other's company. It's super simple, but it works. That's mine.
Delightful.
And that's pretty much what we've got planned. So
Perfect.
That works.
There we go.
What's yours? Is yours different?
no, I was just saying, no, that's exactly what we've got planned.
Okay.
We've talked, I think we've all said, isn't it? So it's not just about the sex. Otherwise, it isn't just about that. Obviously, that's a big part. It's not just about that. So we're talking like beach walks. Yeah, like you said, hot chocolate or wine or coffee or whatever it is, depending on the time of day, and just spending time together. I think, talking, walking, that kind of thing. I think cheese boards have been mentioned as well.
Oh,
Yeah,
You
we're
know,
definitely busting out the
cheese
cheese
boards
board.
Yeah.
and wine and things
Yeah.
like that. So yeah, there's definitely, and this is it, isn't it? There's definitely more going on than just the whole sort of unicorn or husband or, that kind of scenario.
Yeah, I mean, if you're bringing
We're
cheese
looking
into
forward
it,
to that.
that's like serious. So.
No,
It's a game changer. Yeah, definitely. Serious then.
Serious stuff. Sharing cheese together.
Rather amusingly, I was like, well, we've got a free weekend. And I was thinking, oh, we could go on an adventure and do something. But now I'm thinking, fuck that. We've got great charcuterie near us. It's really wonderful. They do great wine, great cheese, great meats and all that stuff.
And wine.
And now I'm thinking that is going to consume me until I consume it.
Until you consume.
That's all that I'm going to be thinking about. Apart from my next question, which is, it's do you have a question that you'd like to ask us?
I can throw one thing in there. So I think we've heard about all the good stuff that comes out of the podcast. Is there anything negative that comes out of doing the podcast?
If you say me, I'm walking out. I swear.
No. I can honestly say that because I have been, about a month ago, we stumbled across some social media feeds, shall we say.
Oh, is this your battle?
Yeah.
Right.
And
Oh dear.
so one of the great joys of the podcast is you get all the wonderful feedback and people reach out and they're very kind and very generous with their words and what they say. But not everyone is like that. And I stumbled across some posts that were literally about us. We were talking about our CAP stuff and it was very much, are they done with the lifestyle? Are they...
No, it was
Is Caroline, for some reason.
Yeah. Is Carolyn
done? Done with the lifestyle.
Why don't you just let her get on with it? And yeah.
And there was a lot of really deeply personal stuff about us and our approach. And it was like, they're not even swingers. They're really boring. If you met them, you'd hate them. And you know what? I was really fucking upset that I was like, I don't want to do the podcast anymore, quite frankly. And I appreciate that the flip side is if you look at all the nice stuff that you get and all the community stuff that we do, it far outweighs that. But I'm an emotional little bean. And that really gets to me. And it'd been posted and it had been there for, I don't know, like about a month before I found it. And normally I'm sort of dipping in and out of various social media things. And I was like, well, I've got to respond because I can't not respond to it. And I want to put thing across and people are like, well, they're only doing it to make money and that's how they stay relevant and they're not relevant and they're not. And I was like, you know what? This is like that whole process of going to CAP was quite a difficult one for us. And it really, really highlighted for us the menopause stuff that Carol had been going through. And you don't just realize these things on one day. You don't just wake up and go, oh, it's the menopause or, oh, this is the problem. It happens to you over a long period of time. You kind of go, oh shit, this is what's happening. It sort of dawns on you. And I think we talked a lot about how going to CAP was a bit of a struggle. It wasn't a normal approach. We found it hard to connect with people. And we know that we struggle to do that in large events. But it really, really felt personal. And it really felt like that we don't genuinely add any value. And for me, that consumed me for weeks.
A while.
It still does. To this day, I'm still going on those platforms and just refreshing in case something pops up again. Because I recognise that we cannot be for everybody. Like you can't please everyone. You can't be all things to all people. And I recognise that I can grate on people. I recognise that Carolyn can grate on people and that we can rub people up the wrong way. I get all that. But it's a really hard read when you find it. And, you know, I think for us, I replied, I put what I hope was a good response to all of those things and addressed what I could whilst taking on the feedback. Because to me, it is important that we list, like, if people have got complaints, I want to listen to them and try and address it if I can do. But I'm also conscious that we don't get paid. We don't earn any money. I can tell you for the fact the social we did not earn any money on. I can tell you that we don't earn any money from the podcast, apart from we have like 150 quid a month from Patreon, which when you take out our hosting costs and equipment costs and doing the badges for the events, we lose money. So I'm kind of like, it's very difficult to sort of address that stuff without kind of
Feeling hurt.
And I think So we've got over it, and I think I've got over it for the most part. And I think having the event reassembled was us getting back to doing what I think we do really well, which is fun socials and a fun environment, and also the podcast, like interviewing people and talking about our stuff. And that has helped quite significantly. But in terms of bad stuff that comes out of the podcast, that is a huge challenge, because you're always going to get that. But it's like when you watch a film, you turn to your mate or your partner or whatever and go, you know what, that was a shit film. I fucking hated that. But most people don't go online and talk about that. They just go, I didn't like it. And they don't deliberately tag the person that's made that film and go, oh, you made a shit. Now, some people will. And that's the challenge. And that's what we get with the show. Fortunately, that's for the most part. And I said this to Carolyn just this week, actually. I said I should take a counter of all the good comments. And trust me, if I look even outside of the social event and the feedback on that, we've had about 5 or 6 people reach out to us and thank us for the podcast, what we've done, all this good stuff. But I'm still thinking about that post, and it's still hurting me as a result. So it's very hard to kind of step away from that stuff.
So I know exactly which post you're talking about, not because I posted it, because it was stumbled across in one of my late night jaunts across that particular platform.
Yeah.
And it's so weird. As someone that has, in a very quick time frame, listened to episode 1 to episode 211, I think it is now, I couldn't believe how wrong it felt to read it. And I think what is interesting is I think you could tell that there was more challenge in those cap episodes and everything that was going through there. But it was almost like, as someone who's listened to it over a very short period of time, you can almost hear that journey happening very quickly. But I suppose depending on what they're kind of how they listen to it over. But it was I just find it bizarre that people jump and so openly speak about real people like that without knowing, this kind of much of it. And you could have quite easily not done those episodes. You could have quite easily left all the hard stuff out, which is what so many other people would do. And I'm a bit of a psychopath when it comes to stuff like this. I wanted to jump on there and be like, you don't know. But obviously I was like, I don't want to get into or whatever it was. But, for me, it was like, I find some people really brazen on the internet, and I just think you just don't know half the story. So why are you talking? But I would have equally a bit, like, if people say the same about this episode, I may cry, because they're going to go, they've known each other a week. Like, how do they know? They're so naive. But, I'll cry in a corner about that later. But I get it. And I hadn't actually remembered that when I asked you that question. But I imagine that was really tough.
Definitely, I can imagine that too. What I will say on the back of that is we wouldn't be here having this conversation. Myself, Bunny, or C wouldn't have attended the Bedhoppers Social Reassembled if it wasn't for this podcast. We would never have I wouldn't have had the confidence to have opened those conversations up with C. We wouldn't have done a first club visit. So I think, although I can completely get where you're coming from, is in the hundreds of positivities, there's that one negative that we as humans will always stick to. Yeah. Because it's the one thing that it is just on your mind, isn't it? It's the one thing that sort of consumes you in a sense. But there is so much good stuff that has come from this podcast, from you both, and conversations that have been really important, and people that are just discovering the podcast that are going to go through that journey with you as well. And again, same as Bunny, I've listened to from day one to every episode. And I think you're just doing an absolutely fantastic job for the lifestyle and community.
Thank you.
I don't make cake for just anyone, so
we still have cake. We still have
of course
cake.
You do. That doesn't surprise me. When I heard I had the opportunity to make a gluten-free cake, I was like, yes. But
so touched. Thank you.
So just to point out, so Bunny made Carolyn a wonderful cake for her birthday and brought it along to the venue. And when she told me it was at the venue, so we went to 2 different venues. Friday night was like a pre-party night where only like a small number of the people were going to be at. And then Saturday was our main night. And I'm chatting to her and she goes, yeah, it's at the venue. And I'm like, okay, yep. And then it suddenly dawned on me that she meant the first venue that we were at while we were there. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I've got a...
Your brain imploded.
Yes.
Your brain actually imploded. You're like, what do I do? I had not planned for this.
But what was even funnier is they were like, we're going to bring out the cake. And then I got a call from Secret Stag and Secret Vixen. So we were staying in an Airbnb with them. And they couldn't get into the place, and they couldn't actually get into Birmingham city centre where we were because of the one-way system. So I ended up leaving, getting a cab to our bloody Airbnb while all the cake stuff happened. So I didn't even fucking see it get brought out. I didn't even get to see the look on her face and her surprise and all this sort of stuff, because I was like, where the fuck are you guys on the phone? Like, where are you? And they were lost, and I was trying to direct that. It was just like a comedy of errors. But it honestly, the cake was marvellous, and it was such a wonderfully sweet moment. And thank you so much for that. It is delicious. It is delicious. It's just I physically cannot eat that much cake. No human being can.
Oh, I didn't realise that somebody tried to steal the cake that wasn't part of the social. I missed that.
Yeah, we defended it. It's okay.
Yeah, the cake's honour was kept intact, fortunately. Although, to be fair, they may have been doing us an ever so slight favour had they taken the. We gave the staff cake. To say thank you, and they all took a fistful of cake, right? And these are not small people. They they had human big sized hands, and they took the cake, and there was still fucking loads of cake. And then we gave some cake to Secret Stag and Secret Vixen to give to their kids as well, and they still have cake. And it's so the
that cake has done well.
It is ever living. Someone at the social did say you're going to be fucking having cake in your freezer for the next 6 years, mate. And I did. It was, but. Honestly,
the cake it's fine.
No. It's I'm going to recycle it. I'll use it at the next social.
You're taking, it
was when I walked in the next day, and I was like, "Oh, by the way, here are the brownies I promised you 2 months ago." You're like, "What?
What the actual physical fuck?"
I show love with baked goods.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
Yes, it was very affectionate and very wonderful.
To do that.
Yes, thank you.
Tremendous.
But they were, and I can't stress enough that they are lovely, and it's so nice. It's just the volume of the brownies were like a manageable amount, but the cake. Honestly, you could do bicep workouts with this thing. You really, which worried me ever so slightly. Anyway, so I just want to say to you both, thank you so much for coming to the event and for sharing your story and coming on the show as well, because it's been really delightful getting to know you better. And I think listeners will take so much out of what you've had to say.
You're going to get cake orders by
cake orders by the bucket
I already
load.
had one off the back of Fridays.
I'm not surprised.
I'm not shocked in that at all. Now, if people were to look for you out and about in the world, is there anywhere they can find you? Or are you on Swing Hub? Do you want to share that? Or is this a total now lockdown relationship, the likes of which no one can look at you at all, even from afar?
You'll have to ask Bunny that one.
Poor C's leg must have had my fingernail marks in it by the end of the night. But no, I am on absolutely nothing. Like I said, I intended to go into this as just a bit of will I like it, will I not, is it for me? And I don't have any desire to set up any of those profiles because I've kind of got what I'm after. Well, I don't know what I was after, but I'm in whatever this is right now.
But anyway.
Whatever it was, you found it, which is great. So if people do have questions, just get in touch with us and drop us a message on any of the sites, and we will forward them on to you via the power of our Discord, and then you can answer them there instead. Mrs. H, do you want to do your thing?
I do. Well, thank you for hopping into our bed.
So I just want to say a huge thank you to Bunny and A for coming along, for jumping on the show, for taking time out to speak to us, and for also coming to our events, and for being so kind about the stuff that we do.
Yeah.
It was all very nice. If there's one thing I do like, it's my ego being stroked. And I'm not just talking about my penis.
Oh my God, is that what you could? I thought we called your penis Ulysses.
Uselessly.
Oh my God. No, I called it Ulysses.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good to know. Thank you.
It's obviously adding to the ego problem.
Because it's lost and trying to find its way back or whatever it is. Anyways, we want to say a huge thank you to those two. They were really good guests, really interesting conversation, and really exciting to see how their sort of dynamic is playing out in literal real time.
Yeah.
We should message them in a minute and see how it's going.
Yeah, how's it going?
How's it going?
It's been a hot minute.
Yeah, exactly. Right, Mrs. X, do you want to do your thing?
Well, thank you for hopping into our bed.